Special event, September 10th, Hollywood. Come see me at the Melrose Improv. Lot of special guests coming by. September 10th, Melrose Improv. That's in Hollywood, California. If you're in LA, Inland Empire, Valencia, you got to come on down. September 10th, tickets are only $20. Melrose Improv. Phoenix, come see me September 19th, September 20th at Stand Up Live. Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, I don't care if you got to drive up from Tucson. Make the drive, y'all. Phoenix, Arizona, September 19th, September 20th. I love you guys. All my shows are meet and greet. We'll be selling T-shirts, shaking hands, taking photos. You want it, you got it. I got your back. So, September 10th in Los Angeles, California at the Melrose Improv. September 19th, September 20th, Phoenix, Arizona at Stand Up Live. You can check my Twitter feed for details, or you can just Google search J. Mohr Comedy. I'm sure those dates will come up in this age of information. I can't wait to see you guys out there. Hey, you guys, the GoDaddy.com contest is still open, but the window is closing fast. All right, if you guys are fans of the podcast, I need to know what your new website name is, but go to GoDaddy.com to do it. Get a piece of 21st century real estate. That's the web, worldwide. GoDaddy.com. You want to start a new website? You want to do a website called JMoorsBunionsMakeMePuke.com? You can do it. You got to go to GoDaddy.com. GoDaddy.com. Right now, GoDaddy.com offering my listeners a very good special offer for its most popular .com domain name. I'm offering you a contest right now. Enter the promo code STORIES, STORIES, like stories, more stories, at checkout and GoDaddy.com, and it'll redeem your new or transfer.com for only $2.49 for the first year of registration. That's damn near free. $2.49 for a year. GoDaddy.com banner at jmoore.com can get it done. Or go to fakemustache.com, which includes awesome new express purchase features, very time-saving. Some limitations apply. Please see the website for details. Go to jmoore.com, click the GoDaddy banner. Make sure you enter stories and come up with the best More Stories URL you can think of, and you will win the contest and win lots of Morier and More Stories t-shirts. My friends, let's do it. GoDaddy.com. Do it. Enter stories. Thanks, guys.
Put your name on it. Just put your name on it. That's all I say. Be a man or a woman. Put your name on it.
Well, I'd like to hear about it, potheads.
How the fuck you gonna know how to be great if you don't study greatness? Look at the game change.
Donuts.
If you want a battle, it's either that you will or you won't. You're not a bad-looking man, Mr. Gals.
But you are, Blanche. You are in that chair.
There's something wrong with us. Something very, very wrong with us.
Hey, man!
Bryan Callen at More Stories right now, at Bryan Callen, Callen. Not the kid, not Brian the Kid Callen. That's just his name on movie sets.
Well, and also on my podcast and on the 10-minute podcast. And people, when they see me, they go, "Whoa, the kid!" I get a lot of that. "Whoa, are you? When did you play pro sports?" "No, I didn't. I just do stand-up."
Yeah, you really do have that pro athlete look about you, Bryan Callen.
Who are
your three hottest men? If you were just objectively,
Mark Sanchez. We got to start with him. I mean, currently?
No, of all time.
Oh well, of all time. You've got to go. I mean, you've got to go young Frank Gifford. There's no question.
What?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Bring him up. Go young Frank Gifford. Find me a more beautiful man than young Frank Gifford. You won't. You won't.
You know what my wife always says?
I'm going to go with a young Carl Lewis.
Is that? Come on, now you're just being silly. He looks like Lizardsaurus.
Well, not when he was.
Oh damn! Young Frank Gifford's no joke.
Yeah, that's Jack Armstrong All-American, brother. Okay.
My wife says I'm a list bully.
What do you mean a list bully? Okay,
I'll tell you, your pick, what you think is wrong, and my guy. Now we're getting an argument. My guys are hotter.
But I'm liking your question because now you've got me thinking. I might go at the end of the day. I mean, as far as just a beautiful man, just a man who really just got it done. Greg Louganis when he was a young man. Beautiful body.
None of these. But he looked real hot in that Celebrity Splash.
Yeah, he's a good-looking kid.
Falling.
when he was diving, I mean, that's a good looking kid.
Let me give you my 3 to put your 3 in perspective.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
got number 1, Montgomery Clift.
The problem with that, my friend, is that he's just a face. You see, I'm bringing body into this. That guy's weighs
Look at his body in from here to eternity.
Yeah, weighs about $135.
No, Sinatra weighs $135. This kid's a good 140.
Okay, he's a good 140. That's not what I consider to be. When I'm talking about men, when I look at them, I go, I want to look like that.
Can I finish my list?
Yes.
Who's the list bully? I'll go Paul Newman.
I was going to say, I know you're going to say Paul Newman, and you're going to go Cool Hand Luke, and it's a very good pick, and you're right to do so. Still a small guy. Keep
Paul
going.
Newman in The Hustler.
Yeah, I know you got a penchant for 135-pound men. Who's next? Bruce Lee? Is that the final one at 124? I'm being a bully, aren't I?
Kind of hurt my feelings.
Come on, give me your third.
'Cause you know how I feel about Asian men. So hot.
He had long lats.
Richard Gere.
That's a very good one. I'm going to give you Richard Gere. I mean, that's a sexy man.
It's got to be guys like if your wife, like you come home and Amanda goes, look, Montgomery Clift's in the other room. Obviously if he's not dead, you just go, wow, it's fucking.
No, it doesn't make me jealous. He's just a pretty boy. That'd be nothing for me. Frank Gifford, young Frank Gifford. I can't argue with that. I say yes. He's the alpha male. He's got shoulders for days. He's nothing but fast twitch muscle with a jaw you could carve a trophy with. I get it. He probably smells like tobacco and leather. That's a man.
And we need to emphasize tobacco and leather is a very good smell combo.
A good combo.
That's actually how they came up with Corinthian leather.
Especially if you throw some wood in there.
Wood.
Yeah, I think
hickory
wood,
smoke.
Yeah, hickory. Hickory is an excellent hickory.
It's my boy Hickory. It's my son Hickory. It's my other son Hap. And that's Futch.
And then there's Michael Jordan. I mean, as far as just
that's what fucking Fitzsimmons said on his podcast. I was on his podcast last night.
Yeah.
And he goes, so-and-so, Michael Jordan. I'm like, Michael Jordan?
Yeah. Symmetry, 6'6", Eben, an
well,
Eben
then I'm
Prince.
going to go fucking Klitschko.
That's legit.
Uriah Faber.
Or Uriah a little too short.
I know. I couldn't think of anybody.
And that ridiculous cleft in his chin.
Too much.
Yeah, but this is a very good question. I could spend an hour on this question.
Well, let's do it. But first, let's give a little love to Amazon. Go to jmoore.com, buy things, clicking the Amazon banner, and I will read what you bought on this podcast, making you famous amongst your friends. If you and all your friends listen to more stories, like Jamie Webb said, hey, JJ, just bought some DVDs and iPod chargers from Amazon using the banner from jmoore.com. That's right. I put my name on it, and I really look forward to seeing you in Phoenix September 19th at Stand Up Live. Love the podcast. Keep up the good work, you crazy son of a bitch. That's Jamie Webb. And I got another one. See, every little bit helps. You don't have to go buy goddamn, a whole bunch of crazy shit.
Right.
Although it helps.
Like a pony or something, or a bag of diamonds.
If somebody buys a pony on this damn thing, it'll be amazing. Check this guy out, Bryan Callen.
Get him, Emma, get him.
Fucking sissy.
Yeah.
I wanted the dog to go raise hell.
Smallest dog I've ever seen in my life.
Well, you see the other one? Little Gene Wilder?
I mean, any bird of prey in the area is a threat.
Yeah. That's why she wears a raincoat all the time. It freaks them out. It reflect, and you put a little Kevlar on them.
You need that.
Hey, JJ, just bought some stuff on Amazon using the link at jmoore.com. I hope I did it right so you can get that paper, son. I got me a new car stereo, a case for my phone, and some laptop keyboard protector type thing. It ain't much, but it's the least I could do since you give me hours of free entertainment. You do the best impressions, by the way. My favorites are Norm and Keitel. Next, I plan to buy a Bluetooth speaker so I can hear the podcast loud and clear from the other room when I step away to take a dump. Thanks again, Jay Mizzy. Gino Aveno, Orange, California.
Mizzy.
Orange, California, Gino Aveno. Hey, Gino, thank you, my man. A car stereo. That's like, that's old school buying a car stereo.
I was about to say, is this 85? That's amazing.
Laptop keyboard cover. I wonder what that's for.
You know what, Matty Boy? Yeah, to protect it from load after load after load.
By the way, I'm going to be, can I just tell them where I'm going to be?
Yeah, let's do some dates.
At
Bryan
Raleigh,
Callen.
North Carolina. I'll be in Raleigh, North Carolina at Good Nights, September 12th,
Charlie Good
13th,
Nights?
14th. No, I
They
think
broke
so.
up, so now it's just Good Nights? It used to be Charlie Good Nights.
Really? Maybe it is Charlie Good Nights. I think it's just Good Nights. But anyway, I'll be there the 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Of September?
Uh-huh.
A lot of people in North Carolina and South Carolina. If you're within a 100-mile radius of Good Nights, you got to go see Bryan Callen September
I'm bringing it. I'm bringing heat.
What's the date?
My new stuff is really
Speak up,
striking a chord.
September what was it?
12th, 13th, 14th.
All right. If you guys, you got to go. You got to pay him off. And the Bryan Callen show, of course, go get his podcast. I love going on it, and we have a good time. All right.
I'm going to give you a compliment. I think I listen to your radio show and I listen to your podcast. I actually think you might be. I'm going to be careful here, but you're as good as it gets when it comes to interviews and keeping conversation going. There,
really?
Yeah. You have a quality. It's not just. I've always said me and Will Sasso were talking about how you're actually the most underrated talent in Hollywood. Like I've always said you're the better actor than anybody knows, and also one of the, without doubt, top 10 comics period in the world. I'm blowing smoke up your ass. I've told you this before, but I just want to say it on the podcast. But I've decided that, and then Will Sasso and I were talking about how you and I think Jamie Foxx are the two guys who people should be talking about in Hollywood.
Jamie Foxx, I don't know, has the comedy chops.
I don't know. I haven't.
But he can blame it on the alcohol.
Haven't seen a stand-up.
But he's got the singing chops. He can play Pachanga Morongo
Yes, he
and
can.
do Grammys and the Billboards.
Yes,
and
he
can
can.
actually really sing, and he won a fucking Oscar for Ray.
Yeah.
So if I'm in the discussion with Jamie Foxx, I'll take it.
I'm right with you. Good-looking man in his own right.
He's all right.
Yeah.
If you like the impression Will Sasso and I did of you.
Genius. It took both of you as genius.
But you and I are now, we talked about this off mic, we're going to do our impression because it does take two men to do an impression of Will Sasso.
Two men of Will Sasso.
So, my friends, as promised, here now is Bryan Callen and me, Jay Mohr. We are going to do our impression of Will Sasso because it takes two people to do Will Sasso. Ready?
It takes two people to do Will Sasso.
Okay, ready? Ready?
Mm-hmm.
You start. That was pretty good. We did it right.
That's really good.
That was good.
Yeah, I thought about it. I thought that was,
I like when you did real short Will Sasso.
Yeah, he's a series of sound effects. So,
all right. Favorite American president ever of all time?
Well, I suppose you could say Abraham Lincoln. I mean, that's an easy one that most people say. You might say George Washington because George Washington was such a sober thinker, and I'll give you two reasons why he was my favorite president in some ways. He may have saved the republic after the war when, I can't remember the colonel's name or the major's name, and they were going to march on the Capitol and basically stage a coup d'etat because they hadn't been paid their wages. George Washington came to them when he found this out and found that a coup was in the making, took his glasses off put his glasses on very theatrically and said, "Forgive me, gentlemen, for I have grown almost blind in service to my country." And everybody in that room, every officer and every soldier in that room knew that nobody had suffered. Nobody had suffered more than that guy had. And they remember in the Revolutionary War, there was a period of time when they thought they were for sure going to lose. He was going to die for sure, be hung as a traitor. So this guy also had wooden teeth and had gone through it. And then finally, when he refused the kingship, when he wrote a very, very caustic letter saying, I'm going to, the fact that you want to call me king is essentially outrageous because it's not what we fought for. A president, we are a country ruled by the people, for the people, of the people. This is a republic. And by the way, I don't ever call me king. And by the way, I refuse the kingship. When King George heard that, he said, if that's true, he's the greatest man in the land.
King George also had a great quote about George Washington. He was getting his portrait taken. I think you and I have spoken about this on your podcast. King George getting his portrait taken after the Revolutionary War is all done. Mm. And he goes, what do you think this George Washington will do now that the war is over? And the portrait taker said, I think he's just going to go back to Virginia and farm. Mm-hmm. And King George said, that would make him the most powerful man in the world. Yeah. Because it was always grab, conquest, colonize.
Well, it was because it was
and it's like, we just want to be left the fuck alone.
It was in response to the fact that he turned down the kingship.
Yeah.
And that really, in many ways, set not the stage for what this idea, and it's an idea, what this idea called the United States is. this is a republic. There's that whole thing when Ben Franklin came out after they
Came out of the
drafted
closet.
the Constitution. Yeah. And she said, "What have you done?" The woman said, "What have you done?" He said, "We've created a republic, madam, if you can keep it."
Yeah.
We may have lost our republic, by the way, but anyway.
It's still a republic.
Yeah.
But the thing with George Washington, too, the go-to is always Lincoln and George Washington. I think there's demerit points on Lincoln that people don't really know about. Like, he was such a centralist. Like, he wanted the executive branch to have all the fucking power.
Most presidents do, though, when they get in there and realize how little power they actually have.
Right.
So the great frustration of every president has been, I can't do anything. But they get checked
and balanced, and they get pinned up against the boards by Congress. And Lincoln just kept going, taking it.
Well, he had emergency war powers anyway, right? I mean,
right.
It was during the war.
And most presidents delegate authority to the states because they don't want to deal with gay marriage. They don't want to deal with pot. They don't want to deal with this. It's like state issue. And Lincoln was like hoarding it into the executive branch. That was the knock on him.
But there was also, remember, a great deal of debate, and it was very important for Lincoln to, I mean, in some ways, of course, the notion that the South wanted to secede. Then the great question became, this is a republic with a central government, and state power has to be subservient to federal power. That is what a federation is. That is what a republic is. So the idea is that there was a vigorous debate that if we allow the South to secede, if we allow states to actually have
Texas
their own
and South
sovereignty,
Carolina.
if they have their own sovereignty, then we don't have something called the United States of America.
It is amazing, like the way they set it up. If one state secedes, it's all bullshit.
That's that's exactly right. You can't have that and by the way, I think he was right. I think he was right.
George Washington, what I liked about him, because you and I read the presidential biographies, was in battle, and Andrew Jackson was like this too. Like, he was just way up front, like with a fucking sword.
Andrew Jackson had his whole life had to deal with.
He got shot in a barroom brawl. He hit a guy over the head with a fucking cane.
He had an open wound in his chest. Yeah.
Teddy Roosevelt got shot.
Yeah, these are rough guys.
And Teddy Roosevelt got shot. Well, let's get to Teddy Roosevelt in a second. But Washington freaked the Indians thought he was like mystical and like magical because they never saw anybody just go through the lines during like those crazy ass battles. Just never got a scratch on him.
He was very, very theatrical too. Washington was 6'4", which was gigantic back then.
Big now.
It's big now.
That's
and
Josh Duhamel sized.
He wore boots, and he was very theatrical. He worked on his voice. He had a real like sort of knack for presentation. It was very important to him.
What? He wore boots.
He wore boots and
no,
a
to
girdle.
Make him so 6'4", now he's 6'6" with boots.
Yeah, he was either 6'2" or 6'4", but he was a very big guy.
All right, so Washington, obviously, he's on the Mount Rushmore for a reason.
Let me give you one. John Adams.
Yeah.
Who was the second president of the United States?
That's a tough gig.
Yeah,
you got to follow George Washington.
Well,
it's like following a high energy black act. That's Apollo. It's like, now here's this guy that you're not really that into, but he's going to hold the showdown. It's going to be a good show still.
Well, one of the most important dates to historians.
That's what John Adams said, by the way. This is like following a high energy black act at the Apollo. And all the blacks around him said, "What's the Apollo? What's high energy?"
Sorry, guys, I'm thinking of the future. He said.
Yeah. Where's my car keys?
Where's my car keys? Well, one of the most important dates in American history is the election of 1800 because Adams and Washington did not like Thomas Jefferson. Thomas Jefferson was really considered by many people to be a wild-eyed French revolutionary. I mean, he wanted to go back to the farm and the agrarian way of life, states' rights and stuff. And these guys had just fought a revolutionary war. There was very strong sentiment in the Washington and Adams camp that said, this guy, if he gets elected, he is going to ruin everything we fought for.
How did you ruin it by being egalitarian?
Republic. Because he wasn't necessarily someone who believed in what we would consider to be a federation, a republic. He wasn't necessarily somebody who believed in strong central government. So he was the opposite government.
Of Lincoln. He wanted to make all the states their own little middle.
Yes.
Okay.
The problem with that was that they had seen sort of something similar in France, and the French Revolution was one of the more bloody revolutions. I mean, that was the first sort of European example of widespread slaughter of its own people. Remember the revolution? The revolution has devoured its young. You know that famous saying. I mean, it was a horrible revolution. Everybody was put to the guillotine. It was just this cult of personality, this movement. And then Napoleon.
Why don't
comes
we bring the
along and
guillotine
stuff.
back? Why did it ever go out of fashion?
Apparently, very very humane way to die.
Yeah,
Yeah, very.
And
cool.
they had. I wouldn't have a basket. I would do it on a hill. Like when you skateboard down a hill as a kid, like that one cool dead end street, and I would just let the heads roll down the bottom of the hill.
Always.
Like how kids
set up pins at the bottom.
Pins are good, but how kids like shag fly balls during home run derby, the ones that don't make it out, you have a bunch of neighborhood kids like, I got the head.
I got
the
it.
head.
You look at me with dead eyes. But this is the most important part about 1800. Every time there's
I can tell you what leaves to eat.
Every
to
time there's a
survive.
revolutionary war, historically in any country, and you can give me very few examples. It always breaks into a civil war because two sides fight for the spoils. Didn't happen in 1800, and it's probably the first time in the history of the world that was the case.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of that had to do with the restraint of people like George Washington and John Adams. That was their restraint. Those men showed great sobriety and restraint, and it almost stands alone in history. Think about it. Every single country that goes through a revolution then breaks into a civil war. The two sides inevitably fight for the spoils.
To the victor go the spoils, and they all want to be the victor.
That's right. Anyway,
so let's go in
so John Adams is
chronological
another
order.
guy. Yeah.
That's cool, John Adams.
Yeah.
But which way are we going to go? Guys that got shot. Andrew Jackson. By the way, Andrew Jackson, if you want to talk about genocide,
Yeah,
he
wasn't good. He wasn't
absolutely-
good to the Indians.
holy moly.
Yeah.
Like the reason you don't bump into Native Americans at Starbucks, pretty much Andrew Jackson.
The guy on the $20 bill, ladies and
Holy
gentlemen,
shit. He
with
just-
that big do.
like just walked around with fucking liquid Drano and a mop later. And he just
brutal
kept
guy.
moving him. However, he completely defeated the French in New Orleans with just his little weird ragtag group of militia from Tennessee.
I'm very impressed with your command of U.S. history.
Well, we're having the same conversation, so I'm impressed with yours as well.
Yeah, but I mean, I pay attention. I do. You're the only guy in Hollywood who's a friend of mine who does this.
But that's why you're here.
All right. I know, but you know sports like the back of your hand. Now you're talking to me. You're talking to me about U.S. history and events that most people can't even talk about. That's
Andrew
impressive.
Jackson, if you want historical perspective, looked exactly like Don Imus. Picture Don Imus.
I think you're right about that.
I know I'm right. Picture Don Imus, and he had an Irish accent. He spoke with like a brogue. And he, like you
Did he?
said,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was an Irishman. And then he was in like barroom fights, like you son
he
of
was a severe
like
guy,
you son of a
austere.
gun, like not a drunk, just in a bar, like at a meeting, and people go like, and when he take it outside, and he would just like hit somebody over the head with his cane, and they would shoot him.
Yeah.
And he was like,
with
like,
a musket.
Guy shot me. And then like he would get his revenge like weeks later and like fight people in the streets. He was a lunatic.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was the people's president, right? The first guy with dirt on his boots, standing on the couches in the White House.
And then Lincoln, people's president, talk about dirt on the boots. That's because he was an absolute manic depressive, bipolar, crazy person.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at his presidential portraits, year by year by year, the hair gets a little wider, wilder.
Yeah.
He used to wear that long coat. He'd have mud like they had podiums for him because he was just like a mess.
A lot of that is also, he lost. I think he lost 2 children to fever. One when they were 9, the other when they were 11 or something. I mean, I can't remember the exact ages, but she kind of went crazy after he was shot.
Obviously. He was like super depressed.
Yeah, when you lose your children, a guy I had on my podcast who wrote a book called The Rational Optimist, an excellent book, an excellent interview with this guy. And he said, if you were to measure misery, I said, what is your marker for misery? He said, let's just start with the fact that most of us never have to bury our children. That used to be a common thing. It was, you didn't know a family back before vaccines, etc., that didn't bury at least 2 children. It didn't happen. You just had a lot of kids, and you always buried some little bunny that was running around at 3 or 4 years old.
Whoa.
Now, you and I have kids, so we know what that would be like.
Why does your hair look thicker and good?
That's a marker for misery. It does it? I thought it looked thinner. Look.
No, it looks way thicker.
Are you kidding?
No, I'm
I
not
just
kidding
cut
at
it.
all. It
Yeah,
looks
but
really
look at the
good.
top. I've been worried that it's really thinning.
No, it's like the thickest I've ever seen.
Is that
it.
right?
Yeah, I swear to God. Matty Boy will attest to it.
I was thinking I need a hair transplant. Another one. I mean, I need one. For real. I was like, I'm losing my hair.
Why don't you get like some Propecia or something?
I could take it, but,
How old are you?
46.
What you worried about your hair for at 46? It would be out by now.
I know. I just don't know why I still have such a tight my jaw is so strong. It's weird. My dick.
That's why.
My dick is always so... My dick is always so.
You don't have
could
to
cut glass. My dick could cut glass.
Bro, I'm so fucking hard. Are we gonna take it up a notch or not, bro? Let's go to 7-Eleven. I get some condoms and scratch offs and fucking party, bro. I think when your jaw is as tight as yours, it actually creates tension in the follicle and the hair leaves.
Maybe you're
I think
right.
you gotta loosen up the jaw a little bit. I'll tell you what. I'll come by the house. I know where you live, Santa Monica, and I'll just get a little massage on the jawline just before you go out your day.
Massage. If I had money, the three things I'd do is I'd have a masseuse, I'd have a chef. No, maybe I'd have a tennis court. I play tennis now. You should see my stroke. It's actually breathtaking. I mean, I hit with an obscene amount of topspin. An obscene amount. And the noises I make are natural. It comes from my hara. That's Japanese for my center, my core. So I just... Like
Mushin, no mind. You're not even present when you're hitting the ball.
No. And then when I back and I go... Because I open. I'm just open. I'm so... The one word for me, and not to be a dick, but the one word people use when they see me endeavor in sports is grace. I'm just fucking
You're
graceful.
the kid. You're a greyhound.
Thank you.
You have the power of a greyhound.
I appreciate that.
The nose of a bloodhound.
Oh, come on.
The ears of a cocker spaniel.
Thank you.
And the tummy of just a chocolate lab laying by the fire that just wants his tummy rubbed.
I'm just a composite. I'm just
and
a
the
complicated.
dick of a chihuahua. That giant per capita, chihuahuas have giant cocks.
Yeah, I got a big old angry dick.
Dalmatians have really small. I spend a lot of time looking at dogs' dicks. Dalmatians have really small dicks.
Really?
Yeah, you never noticed that?
No.
Mm-hmm. Matty Boy's like,
You ever notice how you can't really talk to your friends about their pieces? Like, really?
About their dicks?
You got
or
a
their
big dick?
guns?
Guys will be like, the guys immediately go, I do all right. Yeah, I mean, I do all right. You got a dick on you. Sometimes I like to do that when I don't know somebody very well.
Well, we've seen your dick on, if you go to youtube.com/morestoriesballs, we were early, me and Matty Boy were early for your podcast. You were in the shower, and then you and I kissed on the mouth with your cock out.
Yep.
And it was impressive. Speaking of giant cocks, Teddy Roosevelt, very small penis.
Is that right?
I don't know. I just wanted to
It would
go.
make sense though because he boxed and he went to a war. He was always talking about America needs a good war. You know, he was a very macho guy, very progressive president.
How weird is it that a guy back then at the turn of the century, for some reason, his hard-on was, I'm going to gobble up land and make sure nobody can ever... It's 100 years now.
Well, he was talked into that. He was talked into that by...
Really?
Yes, by an environmentalist, and I can't remember his name, but Teddy Roosevelt was talked into that by a
You
very
know way more than
persuasive
me, and
guy.
you're giving me the compliments for presidential history.
Yeah.
You're
Well,
educating me, dude.
Yeah, and Teddy Roosevelt, remember, came to power because McKinley was assassinated. So... And nobody wanted him. Nobody, in fact, the leader of the Republican Party at the time said that now that damn cowboy's in power, and because they knew he was a very progressive guy. He was a guy who
Well, he's a batshit crazy. He was like it would be like Chael Sonnen as president. He's just like a crazy, let's barroom brawl, let's get after it.
But a champion of the poor, a champion of certain things like what we would consider sort of something like the Environmental Protection Agency, the idea that workers should be compensated when they're hurt and things. Those were the conversations that were being had in the White House, and Teddy Roosevelt spearheaded a lot of those conversations.
He had asthma real bad as a kid.
And heart disease later on.
You know how you treated asthma back in 1905 or whatever it was?
I think I do.
How?
I think you went up to the mountains where the air was very clean.
Close. They had a car. There's only like 18 cars in Manhattan at the time, and they would just speed down Fifth Avenue in the winter, and they would hold little Teddy up at like 20 miles an hour, so the cold air would shoot down his lungs.
Gee whiz.
Like that was medicine. Take him for a drive in the horseless carriage.
Well, they think that a lot of asthma is caused in the inner city by cockroach droppings.
And cock.
And dick.
Dick. No, not dick. Cock. Roosters. The feathers. The dander, like pet dander.
So don't have roosters in your house. If there's one thing you've learned from Mohr stories.
Did you read, what is it? Something the Amazon? When Teddy Roosevelt, after he was president, just decided, I'm going to get some hollowed out canoes and a bunch of dudes, and we're going to discover tributaries in the Amazon. He got shot with fucking poison darts. Jesus. The guy was a lunatic.
Well... Yes, but Teddy Roosevelt also had a real flair for press. He was very good at using the press. So in fact,
let's say he made it all up. He was still in the Amazon, and if you and I went, we'd last 48 hours and go, "There's too many bugs."
That's right. But a lot of
where are my pinch nail glasses?
A lot of his press was essentially, a lot of historians will tell you that he was very good at sort of bending the truth to his favor in a good way, not necessarily in a bad way. He knew that people appreciated a guy who kept a pet bear in the White House and boxed every day and hurt his eye boxing, and he went blind in one eye from a friendly boxing.
Sugar Ray Leonard.
He was boxing Sugar Ray.
Sugar Ray went blind in an eye. No, he can't.
Well,
here's
Teddy
the thing
did.
that didn't get made up about Teddy Roosevelt. Guy gave a speech, kept a Bible and a flask in his breast pocket. Somebody stood up, shot him publicly. It wasn't like there was a sneak shot.
Yeah.
And it hit the Bible and the flask, so it didn't go through his skin.
I thought that was a myth.
No, that's
that
the
true?
creation of the Bull Moose Party, because the headline the next day was Teddy Roosevelt strong as a bull moose.
Really?
And so he branched off and formed the Bull Moose Party. So he even wanted a third party back then. He knew the two-system party was ridiculous.
Wow.
Two-party system.
Yeah.
How could there be two parties of government? There's 12 houses of the zodiac, and that's fucking wacky. Like, you don't. What's your
I
sign?
think the way
What's your sign, baby?
I'm Aquarius.
Do you act like an Aquarius?
I don't know.
So I mean, right?
I think though that the two-party system was almost a natural. I mean, two sides of the aisle. It's kind of the way Congress is set up. I don't know. I've heard
How
the
could there
argument
not
for a
be-
third party, but you could also have the argument for a fourth, fifth, and sixth party as well.
There should be 40 parties. What about the block party? Let's get all our parents out, close up the street,
And just
and
have it-
drink,
and have at
and
it.
we'll ghost ride our bikes through our friends' fucking driveways.
Ghost ride our bikes.
How fun was ghost riding a bike?
I never did it.
What?
I was always reading. God,
Roosevelt
I was always doing kung fu in my garage.
by yourself.
I wanted to be a kung fu master so badly when I was a kid.
What was? Yeah, okay. Give me. You know my two jobs I wanted to be when I was a kid:
Well,
pro wrestler,
yeah,
WWF,
never had that.
and a Marine.
Oh wow, my dad
wait.
was a Marine.
Oh wait, really? Oh, your
Yeah.
dad was on your podcast. That was a riveting episode.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's great. I'm gonna have him on again. Yeah, Marine. I knew from my father the Marines seemed so damn tough, and I never wanted to. I just wanted to live on the mountain with a master and learn how to do things like fly through the air and fell a tree with my hand and all that, which I thought actually existed. And then of course, I've always been fascinated with fighting. But to be Bruce Lee, and now you realize that Bruce Lee was in the octagon. I don't think he'd last very long. Uriah Faber would rape him.
Really?
Yeah.
He's into that.
Yeah. No. Uriah Faber would beat the shit out of Bruce Lee, and I don't care what anybody out there says. Okay? And so would any of those guys.
So what are you working on? You working on Kirstie Alley's show?
I got offered a
get to
part
Truman
on
and Nixon.
Kirstie Alley's new show, so I'm going to go shoot
What is that new show?
It's called Kirstie. It's a sitcom. I don't know a lot
Who
about
else is
it.
on that?
Michael Richards,
Yeah.
Kirstie Alley,
Who's the other woman? Big woman name.
Rhea Perlman.
Wow.
Yeah. Good people. I worked with Rhea
On
on
what?
Fat Actress. And I worked with Kirstie on Fat Actress. I used to be a regular on those 7 episodes on Showtime.
But isn't
Nobody
Kirstie Alley
saw.
doing something else right now with another actress?
I think she's doing Kirstie. I think that's her TV show. It's episode 9.
And what are you doing on it? Just like are you a guest star? Or are they going to make you
just
a regular guy?
Guest star.
What do you play? Somebody
I
that's
play,
sexy flamenco?
I play a record executive. It's funny as you get older.
You know what's good about that storyline is
Yeah.
it's very timely. Is there also maybe a candlestick maker and a chimney sweep in that episode? Is there a boot maker? Is there a blacksmith?
I don't know, but
Hear ye.
I always get offered these sleazy roles, the child molesters and the executives and stuff like that, which I don't mind. I never
And
played
the Russian guy in The Hangover.
the Russian guy, the Lebanese guy in The Hangover.
What's the difference?
But I'm coming out in a movie with Kevin Hart and Ice Cube and Lawrence Fishburne called Ride Along, and apparently I'm in the trailers. That's going to be fun. I play a cop. That was a good time. John Leguizamo.
Yeah, I'm not. I was going to say, and I wasn't making a joke. How many white guys?
I'm the only white guy, I believe.
Yeah, it's weird. It is amazing. You can't. That is like a life. Like I did 4 movies, I think, where I was the only white guy. And when you're like in a black guy's hotel room with the black friends, and like you just have that front row seat to like this culture. Like people listening to this podcast have no idea.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck goes on?
It's different.
It's different.
What was fascinating for me was to work down in Atlanta,
funny.
which is a chocolate city. And also, everybody around me who was working on the film was black. So everybody who took care of my travel and took care of everything was black, and I was the only.
And
really
they don't know
white guy.
about you. And
It was
the
very
blacks.
interesting. No, The Hangover, Mad TV. It's all good.
No, about how you feel about.
How I feel about the blacks.
No, the All Blacks, the New Zealand rugby team.
You silly goose. I've
You're
watched
very mellow tonight.
I've watched those haka dances
Yeah.
over and over again. I'm obsessed. You want to talk about a race I want to look like?
Maoris.
Yeah, I want to look like a Maori.
You know why the Maoris are so brilliant? Aside from the fact that they have tattooed faces and wear big top hats in bathing suits in public. Like, picture Slash's top hat and, like, a bathing suit and Mike Tyson's tattoo. Like, that's a Maori.
That's a Maori.
But the Maori in New Zealand are the first, I don't know if they're the first, but pretty much. They're the first indigenous people that were getting slaughtered, wiped out, and genocided out off the land that went to the courts instead of picked up rifles and bow and
Is that
arrows.
right?
And they, like, right now, like, the cabinetry and stuff and the cabinet and the government in New Zealand is just completely littered with Maori.
Wow.
Because they didn't fight.
Littered might not be the word I choose, but I understand what
No,
you're
it's
saying.
littered. They're very sloppy people. they just McDonald's wrapper. They just throw it on the
Everywhere,
ground.
just
They don't
everywhere.
give a shit. Cans of Spam, toenail clips. They don't give a fuck. They're crazy. They'll headbutt your
But
face.
they're very strong. They are about the coolest looking group of people.
Did you see the movie?
Once Were Warriors.
How great was that?
Fantastic.
Timmy Moore Morrison was so fucking make the man to makes woman.
Stud.
How do you spell Maori?
Maori. And just go haka. All blacks.
I'm doing Maori government. Images search for this. You're very mellow tonight, my friend.
What do you mean I'm mellow? Am I?
You're very mellow. I want you to get your shit
Maybe
together.
it's the night. I feel good.
What?
I feel good.
When was the last time you were in a 7-Eleven?
That's for the common folk.
Oh, really?
You know, I last time I was in the 7-Eleven was when I was buying Magnum condoms to go to an orgy where I wore a doll mask.
Who are you buying them for?
Myself.
No, you said Magnum. Those are the
Hey,
big ones.
bastage.
Orgy. Seems like such a good idea.
Yeah, until the guy next to you smells like coconut oil and he shaves his chest and he's orange and you're like, no, I don't want that guy near me at all. Nobody touch my balls.
Just starts rubbing your shoulder. Like,
Yeah,
it's a good
yeah.
time, right?
Yeah, what's up with your thumbs, bro?
Why is
I don't
your
have any.
jaw so tight? Your hair's gonna fall out.
Why are you so knotted? I loved you in that movie.
Which one? Which one was you referring to at the
Exactly. That's what I said to him.
orgy?
Which one, bro?
And then,
Oh, there it is. That's what I say when I have sex, right before I get into it. I go, there it is.
why? Can you say interesting things while I text this person that's bugging the shit out of me right now?
I can say interesting things. Let me think about what I want to say. Well, I'm hoping to get Chris Beck, a.k.a. Kristen Beck now, who was a DevGru, which is SEAL Team 6 commando, and a decorated war veteran, who decided to get a sex change and is now a woman. So he went from Chris Beck to now Kristen Beck and had the full sex change and wrote a book called Warrior Princess, which I am reading now. Fascinating. He joined the army trying to keep his inner girl down, always felt like a girl, very overbearing father, but a good man. His father loved him very much. But it's a very, very interesting and mind-blowing book and case study of just how
Did he
complicated
know
we are
his
as
whole
human
life
beings.
that he was
knew
a
his
girl?
whole life. But to go from that to feeling like a girl to being, a SEAL Team 6 commando, where those guys have to do things like kick in doors. The Taliban guy grabs for his gun. You got to kill him. And by the way,
one
he's
guy in the back
sleeping with
goes,
his kids.
"Oh!" And you go, is that a woman? And he's like, hey, everybody on the ground. I'm probably oversimplifying it.
No, I think you might be oversimplifying it because he was as masculine as it gets. At least talk about like embracing the apex of the masculine archetype, the apex. And yet you've always felt like a woman. And so I mean, at one point he was dressed up in a dress and high heels, and his SEAL Team 6 buddy was on this other sailboat. He takes his dinghy over, and his SEAL Team 6 buddy goes, how you doing? He goes, hey, man. He goes, what's up? He goes, I just like to dress up like this sometimes. It just relaxes me. And his buddy goes, well, I got a girlfriend, bro, who I'm really happy with. He goes, that's okay. I'm not interested in you. That's just how I like to be. And they had this awkward moment, and they drank. And his buddy goes, look, you can do whatever you want, but if they find out you're doing this, they're gonna knock you down as a side case, and you're out of the teams. So it was just something he did when he would come back and just come raging back. He just had to dress up in women's clothing. It's the only way he felt like normal. And he started going crazy and did 13 deployments, hoping in some ways to die.
Really?
Yeah, and
he was so
because
tortured?
he thought he was so tortured. He had 2 sons. He didn't know how to behave around them. It's an amazing book about a guy who was obviously tortured by the inner truth of who he really was.
So you believe somebody can be a man, born a man, but they should have been born a woman and vice versa?
I do believe that because there are too many examples of men who just have to become women, women who have to become men. And if they don't, a lot of times they commit suicide. Or
and going through those operations, that's you're not getting veneers. You're
not getting
slicing
veneers.
a penis down the middle, tucking it back in, and creating like a makeshift vagina.
Yeah.
And with no fallopian tubes, no uterus, but it'll look like a vagina.
That's right. And then you'll take
be gentle.
You'll take a lot of hormones.
Just be gentle with it.
Yeah.
Hopefully your husband has a very small penis.
That's right.
You can't just fucking go in there and savagely pound away at a freshly made vagina. It's like a diorama brought home by your kids. Like in second grade, like, look, macaroni art. I'm like, why did you do that? You should have made love to my diorama a lot more gently. You just destroyed my macaroni art. Matty Boy, at the real Hey Matty. You're not getting any followers from this podcast.
I'm not, I know. You know what looks always strange about the sex change is the pubic hair, though. Never comes around.
Really?
Why have you seen any of this?
Same
place you get pictures of dogs with porcupines in their faces.
Well, I mean, yeah. If you choose to shave, I guess it would look normal. But people that want a little something there, it doesn't grow the way that normal vagina hair grows.
How does it grow? All right, so if you're a guy and you get a vagina, you don't get vagina hair. You get like guy pubes.
It's just like the top guy pubes, and then like what would go around the lips. It just isn't there.
Wow.
But isn't that what women don't want? Don't they get that part lasered
I don't
off
want
anyway?
that either. So.
No, right. But I mean, if it looks strange with the person.
like a
what's your
that
take
I've
on
been
this
with.
this guy who's an MMA fighter who had a sex change, now a girl, and is fighting?
I think it's fair.
Yeah, because he's still genetically a man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
His
I feel the same
DNA he's throwing man jabs and hooks.
I feel the same way.
But unless they have a separate league of just post-op, pre-op, transvestite fighting, which, by the way, it might be a pretty good card.
It's just interesting to me that he gets a sex change, which I understand, whatever's going on, he's got to do what he's got to do. But then to want to be a fighter and punch women in the face is very interesting. It's just...
Maybe he hated women so much that he got the sex change operation just so it was legal for himself to punch women in the face.
Now you're speaking. Now we're getting to the core of things.
And then all of a sudden I'm like, wow, this guy's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like he went about it. Women becoming men. I'm a little interested how at the real Hey Matty knows what people look like post sex change operation.
It was a late night. I was at Taco Bell.
No, I'm being serious.
Very in-depth research.
Why? Are you something you want to tell us with your fucking worm mustache?
No,
your mustache looks like the pubes you just explained along the outer.
I forget what it was. I was watching something on TV and they blurred out the photo of the genital area, so I looked it up online to see exactly what it looked like.
Have you ever seen the penises that they make from the woman's? They make the clitoris.
I have.
Really?
Yep.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Not yours.
Not mine, silly goose.
That I've never seen.
I have.
Where'd you see this? On the road?
No, I'm just on the...
Some fucking radio person like, hey, we got post-op Terry in here.
A lot of blow. I was dizzy. Yeah, I saw it online. Where you can take hormones and you blow. You basically...
You make the clit explode like a mushroom.
Let's look it up. Come on, man. We got time.
Because it's bad podcasting. I'll cover.
All right.
September. Go look for it. Look for the thing, and I'm going to cover.
You're going to cover. All right.
September 19th, I'm in Phoenix. I mentioned that earlier. Look it up. Stop looking at me and do the thing.
Sorry.
I want people to hear more about Bryan Callen and the adventures and the fact that your wife is just throwing money in the ocean and horseback riding.
Oh, my God.
How expensive a habit is that?
I was like, am I a land baron over here? What's going on? How expensive? I'm leasing a horse. I mean.
Are you really? Do you get to name the horse? Or they're like, here's Ghost. Like some stupid horse name?
Our horse's name is Eeyore. Okay.
No. Does it wear like a straw hat?
Well, here we go.
Ears?
Well, and there it is. Here we go.
So come see me in Phoenix, September 19th, September 20th. All my shows are meet and greets, my friend. Okay, the problem I have with how do I make this larger, honey?
You can't on Google. It's annoying.
That's not a dick.
No.
That's a makeshift. That's the post. Is that a vagina?
That must be a post. That must be a vagina. It doesn't look bad.
That looks pretty good.
I know.
looks like a black hat with its throat slit, but Matty boy, will you put these up on the Tumblr, or what? Why don't you put these up on More Stories Balls?
Just a bunch of photos.
Look at that. That looks like a ball bag with a scab. Matty just knocked over a glass of water. Like, what is that?
What is that?
I'm starving.
Oh, look at that. There it is. Just balls.
There was a guy in the Learning Channel the other night that had a 138-pound ball bag.
No.
132. I don't want to exaggerate.
What was it, a cyst?
He smacked it in a door or something. My turn.
God.
Mackie's turn.
Ugh.
These penises are cut in half.
It's amazing.
If that was a woman, that's a big, giant crank.
That's a crank, huh? Yeah.
A big, giant, black, post-op dick.
Very impressive.
And
crank.
stiff.
And with actual balls.
What if you're just looking at a black guy's dick right now and there's nothing post-op about it?
It's so interesting.
What?
That looks like an enlargement. Is what that looks like.
It is what it is, guys.
If Bryan Callen got a penile enlargement, he would have to tuck it into his fucking shoe.
Yeah.
Bryan Callen, enormous penis.
I got a piece on me, kids.
He's got a piece.
Don't kid yourself.
The kid has a piece.
The kid's got a piece on
So
me.
let's talk about your wife's horseback riding habit. Do you think it's because you guys aren't intimate enough and you don't spend enough attention to her, and she knows when she's on the horse, it's just woman and beast together in nature, and that's how she wants to
Well, she makes me wear a saddle. Oh!
Not really that funny.
No? Shit.
No.
All right. She feeds me carrots. Hey!
That would have, you know what? If
Not
that was
bad. That
first
would've
up,
been
that
better.
would have been very good.
That would've been
Well,
good.
she feeds me carrots.
She feeds me carrots with a
Sugar
flat hand.
cubes.
Sugar cubes and carrots
you just
with a
eat them
flat
with your
hand.
stupid nibbling lips.
I have to nibble with my lips.
When the horse has to do that stupid, with his lips to get the goddamn sugar. You're like, eat it, stupid. It's here.
The horse bit her on the ass, by the way.
What?
Yeah, bit her right on the ass.
That's what she told you?
The biggest bruise I've ever seen in my life.
It was probably Godfrey. Just some comic with huge teeth.
Maybe it was Godfrey.
Rich
That's
boss.
hilarious.
What's your wife doing on here on the horseback? I bit her right in her ass. My wife hates me. So your wife goes on a horse. The horse decides to say, hey, lady, thanks for the ride. I'm going to bite your ass.
She was brushing him, and I guess she reached down. The horse reached down. She said, I felt like I got electrocuted. And it bit her from the top of her ass to the bottom of her ass. I mean, I'm talking about a serious bruise.
Does she still have it?
No, but I had a picture
Pictures
of it.
never happened.
I had a picture. I had a number of pictures of it. I may still have it on my phone.
Horse bites?
Yeah.
Horseybites.com?
Horsey bite.
Horseybites.com.
I'll post them.
Photos of your wife. Now, did you give her a salve, a balm? Did you take care of this
She
bite?
couldn't sleep on that side of her buttocks.
Which side was it?
It was the left side.
So she had to sleep on her right side or on her tummy.
Yeah.
And we all know when the wife sleeps on the tummy,
She's got to take it.
it's game over.
It's game over.
It's game over.
You can't just do that.
No,
'Cause I'm just going to give you a massage. Oh, look. There it is.
Yeah, you get your fist. This is the trick that you got to do every once in a while. And the wives don't care. They've married us and they've seen us shit and they know we're idiots. We vomited,
Right.
with the flu.
Right.
But we still do things just to pacify ourselves. Like we'll put our fists down on the mattress to make our triceps look bigger while we're having sex.
Yeah.
Even though our wives really are only concerned with one muscle at that point.
Yeah.
And that one flexing well
Yeah.
and working on an optimum level
Yeah,
made me
you're
feel
right.
great, But we'll put our fists down on the mattress just to get that nice pork chop.
It's called a power fuck.
The power fuck?
I call it power fucking.
Why do you call it that?
Because your core, your tries, everything's getting a workout. Everything.
I think you last a lot longer than me because nothing on me really gets workout when I have sex.
No.
Like my chest hair will fall out and fall on her boob and I get grossed out. I'm all sweaty.
Yeah.
I realize my fingernails are too long so I can't really touch her the way I want because she'll
Yeah.
get scratched. And I'm like, this is...
You're making a terrible face with your nose is all scrunched up
yeah,
right
it's
now.
gross. It's like, this can't be good for anybody.
No, because I'm too
Let me
vain
just
for
wrap,
that.
Let me just wrap this up.
No, I'm too vain. I'm sitting there going, let me show her something. I'll teach her a lesson. That's what I do, and then I got to keep going.
Now, if I may, we can take this part out if you wish,
Yeah.
but I know you and your wife very well. Yeah. Bryan Callen, the scouting report on Bryan Callen making love, always a little too rough.
Yeah.
Unable to simply treat the lady like a princess.
Is that true? Is that what she says to you?
We've had this conversation.
Well, no, it's not that. It's just that sometimes,
Do you slap your wife in the face?
Well,
most of the time?
Yeah, I mean, define slap.
All right.
Like, how high does my hand go? Over my head? I mean, come on.
No, you're not an animal.
Yeah, I'm not an animal. I mean,
You're not from fucking.
I mean, a couple cold cracks.
Sure, but you're not like from the Inland Empire. You're not gonna.
I'm not rearing up, guys. I'm not
posing for a Roy Lichtenstein photo. Like, I can't believe he hit me. Your hands up in the air and all those dots that become Bryan Callen.
That's exactly right. It's just maybe once in a while. But
So would you say you slap your wife in the face over 50% of the time you have sex?
No, I don't slap her.
Brian?
She wouldn't take that.
Brian?
But I will say that
forearm across the face like ground and pound.
Yeah, of course. I'll forearm her. I mean, do I knock her out? Yes, but I always
serious.
slap her too. No, but I do find her very, very like pretty and sexy, and so she's submissive, and then so it makes me want to kind of dominate her. So that there's
also called rape.
Yeah, well, then if that's the word, then I suppose when it comes to my wife, yes, that's
just
probably what
come
happens.
to an agreement.
Yeah.
So your favorite U.S. president is George Washington and Abraham Lincoln, which I think is a little hacky.
It is hacky.
A little hacky.
It is hacky.
I'm going to go Truman, Nixon.
Yeah, you got to look at what the decisions they made and whether they were politically expedient or if they stood on principle. That's the only way to judge a president. Was he voting his conscience? Was he standing on principle against all odds? Was it politically?
Take a look at me now.
Is that the soundtrack for Against All Odds?
I'm just a little face and nothing back to me. Against all odds, that's the chance I gotta take. How would Will Sasso would be like 1, 2, 3, 4. That's how he talks.
Exactly how he talks.
The thing about Nixon I love is he was certifiably crazy, and if he was around today, he would have made it past one debate. Because he would have been like, God damn it, what the fuck do you people want? Yeah. So it's just
a very awkward-looking guy, very kind of like, didn't
sweaty,
come across.
Swarmy, never really, this has happened with a lot, like John Ronson's Psychopath Test, great book. Like, they never realize that they've won.
Yeah.
So they have like the conquest. We were talking earlier about like King George. Like Nixon never, like you're a 2-term president.
Right.
Relax.
Yeah.
Maybe don't spy on everybody.
Very
Get some
paranoid.
work done.
He was very paranoid.
But despite being a complete mental patient, ended the Vietnam War, nobody ever gives him credit for it. And the fact that he started the DEA and was like obsessed with cracking down on kids smoking pot in the mall, at the mall, the actual mall in D.C., not fucking Willowbrook Mall in Jersey.
Right.
And was like, I want to talk to the young people, Henry. And all the crazy shit he went through, the fact that like when all this is going on, his moral compass was like, this war has to stop.
Not only that,
he froze the price index. Do you know what that means?
He also had the benefit of seeing how the war had gone up through. Remember, Lyndon Johnson.
Eisenhower before that.
Lyndon Johnson said to the American people, I will not seek a second term. He said, I am just tired.
And I will not.
The Vietnam War exhausted him. He said, I'm tired of being beaten up by the American people over this war, and I'm tired of seeing young people not come back. The Vietnam War kicked Lyndon Johnson's ass, and in fact,
but it was his thing. It was the military-industrial complex that. Here's the thing: Kennedy got the advisors going, and Johnson's biography is pretty cool. But Lyndon Johnson, when he filled in for JFK, when he took over for JFK, he had to continue JFK's things. Otherwise, he just would have been rejected outright. He would have been a footnote. It's like Larry Holmes beating Muhammad Ali. Nobody really won. Do you know what I mean?
I think by the time you're president, you're in the mire, and you're already there in Vietnam. Yes, trying to cut your losses.
When you look at Johnson's first 2 years, it was just obsessively passing everything JFK put his foot into, and that was what Vietnam was with him. But the thing with Nixon too. I said this to Wayne Kramer, like not jokingly. He was the best dictator we ever had. He was he was Kim Jong-un. He was crazy, and he froze the price index, which is not legal, on any way, shape, or form. And for the listener, you have to imagine like if Barack Obama, you got to picture Barack Obama going, everything that what it costs right now, no matter where you live, no matter if you're buying batteries, gas, bread, food, a boat, a car, a restaurant sandwich, that's what it's going to cost until further notice.
Mm-hmm.
No, you can't raise gas. Like, that's great. And that was bananas. And that's what he did to toe the line. It didn't work out for the guy that came after him, obviously.
Right.
But just to freeze the price index, those are ballsy moves.
Well,
no one has any balls or testicles. Like, all right, the reason I like Truman and Nixon is they knew how to get things done. You have to completely circumvent Congress because Congress is a mire, like you said. Nothing gets done. They're only there to fuck you up, trip you up. Hey, maybe we can work with our friends across the aisle is code for fuck those guys.
Well, he was also very progressive. Nixon would be considered today very liberal in a lot of the policies that he helped push through. I believe he was responsible for the Workers' Comp Act and all those kinds of things. I can't remember.
I'd have to check.
But his legacy also goes into the fact that he got us – we were in a very cold war with China. And his legacy really, and his and Kissinger's, was that he used the Soviet Chinese animosity against one another and became – and created an alliance, the Sino-alliance with China.
Great point, Bryan Callen. I don't think people know this enough. At Bryan Callen on Twitter. Nixon figured out, and talk about genocide, fucking Kissinger. Yikes.
Yeah.
Allegedly. He figured out nobody realizes that the Soviets and Chinese are more spooked of each other.
They were also fighting a real war, by the way, on their borders.
Yeah, but as much as we were afraid of the Russians, they were like batshit crazy and actually going back and forth.
That's right.
So we play like exactly. Basically, I was going to say what you said.
And nobody knew much about Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong, in fact, we knew had these
was a Chinese guy.
He was a Chinese guy.
We know that.
Had these re-education
but
5'6",
camps. Straight black hair?
Yeah, straight black hair.
All right. So
Lucy in the middle. A wide face. Could march for a long time.
Good in the clinch. Good in the clinch. Watch the knees in the clinch.
A total sociopath, ladies and gentlemen.
Look how he uses his head to create separation.
Starved about 20, 30 million of his own people. He's a piece of shit, by the way.
Could have been 50 million.
Might have been.
Maybe showed restraint.
Yeah,
in starvation.
he and Stalin and Hitler would have gotten along great. Just put
Stalin really fucked it up for everybody post World War II.
He was a bad person.
Let's go to Truman. Truman, do you like Truman?
Yeah, I think Truman had to make some very difficult decisions and did.
Well, he's known for the bomb.
Yeah.
But he created Israel, which was not popular at all to this day. Every day.
I think the creation of Israel had been happening for a very long time, starting with the Balfour Declaration. I mean, the creation of Israel, he didn't create Israel. You had very energetic Jews who had been through
the lobbyists
the worst thing in the world.
But they visited him every day, and he listened to them, and then finally they had to figure out where it was.
Anybody would have listened to them because if you looked at what happened to them in World War II.
Are you out of your mind? You know how fucking anti-Semitic Europe is and the whole world is?
Well, I know, but what I'm saying is the United States was the one place where that we knew what the Nazis we knew what the Nazis had done to them.
So then why didn't we give them Utah?
They had first of all, because that's a good question, but I'll tell you why. First of all, they had nowhere to go. I got no place left to go. I got no place else to go.
Richard Gere was playing a Jew.
For that, officer and gentleman. That was actually a veiled metaphor for the Holocaust, officer and gentleman.
A veiled. Come on, it was way out in the open.
But the Jews had nowhere else to go. If you were an American president then, and you'd seen what happened to them, 4 million Jews in Poland, I think there were like something crazy, like 50,000 left. I mean, it was beyond what we can imagine. They had nowhere else to go. Why Israel? Because biblically that was the promised land, because the Zionist movement had always been either there or they were talking about Uganda of all places.
Harry Truman said, according to my Bible, they go here.
That's right.
According to my Bible, this is where they go.
Yeah.
How about when they had to redo the White House? It was falling apart. It was a shambles, and they had to do construction on the White House. They thought Truman was you'll love this. They thought he was just crazy because I really need y'all to start. I don't know why he's from Independence, Missouri. I made him sound like a fucking hillbilly.
Do you know what his job was before he became president?
Something civic and strange.
He was a haberdashery.
Oh, I did not know that.
Haberdasher. He sold hats.
I love him. Here's the thing. 1 shot of whiskey every morning. 1.
Is that right?
And that's all there is to it.
Get the blood going.
Yeah. But never drinking the rest of the day. Wake up in the morning, have a shot of whiskey, 1 egg.
Interesting. 1 egg and a shot of whiskey.
Yeah.
Gee whiz.
The thing with him, Truman, they were redoing the White House. It was falling apart at the start of the Korean War. And he said, I really need you fellas to start in the back in the basement. It's been a burr in my side. The basement in the back of the White House, the underneath. And they're like, all right, but, the scaffolding in the front, somebody's going to die. Like a pillar's going to, he goes, and this went on for like months. I really need you fellas to start in the back in the basement, inside, work your way out, because it's just making me crazy when I go down. And he had never went to the basement.
Wow.
It's like bowling alleys.
That's interesting.
He knew that you cannot have a war and then on the news footage have fucking scaffolding on the White House. But he couldn't tip his hand. So they just thought he was a crazy